Well, this is Dan 308. I'm going to show you how I sharpen a knife today. First, I got this stone here, and it's got rough on one side, kind of fine on the other. It's really nice. Throw that over there. Then I got this stone. This is my grandfather's stone. This is over 150 years old, handed down. I guess you put your knife on it like this. Yeah, put that over here too. Then I got one of these belt grinders. People love this belt grinder. They love to grind stuff with it, especially sharpening knives. I can't tell you how many gun shows I've been to, and the guys say, "Oh, I sharpened mine with a belt grinder, and they come out awesome." People hate that when you put their nice knife on a belt grinder. They scream. They don't want it like that. And then I've had guys tell me, "Well, if you catch an angel and pull the wings off and wax them, then you can." No, you can't. I will show you the correct way to sharpen a knife. Okay, what I meant to say was, I'm going to show you how to sharpen a knife my way. May not be the best way, but I think it is. I made this little machine here. I made it out of an old drill press base. Lousy drill press, makes a real nice knife sharpener. I took some 1/4-inch rods, and I took some diamond stones and made some little brackets to hold them on the rod. Took some screwdriver handles and jammed those rods into them. And this thing goes in here like this. Now the base is infinitely adjustable. You just loosen up this knob, move it up and down. You can put it at whatever angle you want. Whatever your knife is, that's the angle you sharpen it at, unless you want to reprofile the blade, and then you can just profile it to whatever you want. I mean, if you want it like a razor, make it like a razor. Or make it an axe grind, whatever you're going to do with the knife. First thing I do is I put a little magic marker on there, and the reason is because you want to see exactly what you're knocking off of there, exactly the angle. You want to get that angle perfect. Guys do it, they'll do it with a stone. They'll hold their hand and they're turning their hand like that. They think they're getting it right. You're not. You cannot get it straight unless you have it. The angle on this is going to be perfect. I'll show you. Lay the knife down here. It's nice and flat. It's nice and flat. It's not going to move. This is the angle of the blade. Now, this sounds worse than it is. It sounds worse on camera than it actually is. But actually, this is just gliding across the blade. That's not taking hardly any metal off of there at all. And then what you want to do is take a loop and look at that. You want to look at the edge of that blade and make sure that it goes all the way down. It goes all the way down the blade at that angle and all the way to the edge. It can't go almost. It has to go all the way to the edge. And once it does, that is the perfect angle for that blade. Now you flip it over, keeping the angle the same, and you do it on the other side. And again, this sounds worse than it is, just because of the speaker on the camera, I think. But all you're doing here is rolling up a burr on both sides. So what'll happen is you'll roll up a burr like this, and then you'll knock that off and roll up another burr, and then in the end you'll knock that off and it'll be perfectly sharp. And so I've done it on one side, did it on the other, and now this one here, it just glides across the blade and knocks that burr off. That's all you need to do. And this is a 600 grit. I have 600, I have a 320, a 220, and a 120. And believe me, the 120 takes a lot of metal off, so you don't want to get crazy on that. But if you're putting the profile on a blade for the first time, that's the one you should start with, and then work to finer grits as you go. And then that blade right there is sharp. And what I do is I have a shooting bag, and I know this conforms to the blade a little bit, and I know that kind of rolls the edge, but that's okay, because we're sharpening this to hunting knife sharpen. We're not making a razor blade out of this one. But all you're doing here, and you're not putting a lot of pressure on it, you're just stropping it out. You're just getting anything that's rough off of there. And that comes out just unbelievably sharp. And I mean, You can see right there, it just, I mean, it just shaves all the hair off your arm. It's very sharp. This is a very sharp blade now. And that's all it took. That took a whole, I don't know, 15 seconds, maybe 20 seconds. And the thing gets sharp as a razor blade. And that's all you have to do to that. But the key is getting those edges to come together and keeping them, keeping the angle consistent throughout the blade. It's the same angle at no matter how far out this thing radius is. So if you're doing a machete or anything, a big kitchen knife, it's the same angle at the hilt as it is at the tip, because this thing, oops, will not let it, this thing will not let it change angles. The angle is always the same, no matter what. And it's infinitely adjustable, so you can adjust it to whatever angle your blade is. You can just adjust it. So, you know, that's how I sharpen a knife. I'm not saying it's the only way. I'm saying it's the way I do it. And I sharpen at gun shows. And I have a line of people wanting me to sharpen their knife. It takes about 2 or 3, 5 minutes, depending on what a mess they have of their knife. And I can usually straighten out anything that they have a problem with. I think the key to getting a knife sharp is to get that edge to come together all the way down the blade. That's just common sense. Everybody knows that. The hard part is getting it to do it. I mean, I've seen guys do this with a stone. They'll set it and they'll move it and they'll go back and forth, and then they'll do this, and you can see their wrist is rolling. It's never going to be this. It's going to be 10 degrees here and 20 and 35 and 46 once they get to the tip. They're rolling the edge on that. It'll never be consistent, because how can they do that time after time? If you go 20, 20, 20, 16, you just screwed that up. You spent an hour going 20, 20, 20, and now you've messed up the edge, and then you turn it over and you do the. I mean, you could do that forever. That's why you see these guys with these knives that are ground back to here. They just, you know, they put them on a grinder and mess them up. This is the easiest way to do it. I just made something that works, and it does work. That's how I sharpen a knife.